Ed from Victory Glass. Going through other things, and we're also going to do a sub-series of preparing jukeboxes, different models for transport. But to start off with, for our first video, you just bought a jukebox. What do you do? How to get it home? And just some things to keep in mind that apply to all jukeboxes, and plus a little bit of kind of how-to or showing you how I do things on the 1015. I'm not going to be shooting a how-to step-by-step video, more of the processes that we go through. So the first thing is getting it home and get measurements to get it home. First thing you do is, even before you put it in the truck or bring it home, there's a couple things you want to make sure you do right. First thing, lock down the mechanism. Some mechanisms are floating on springs. On this one, it's not. It's bolted solid. On some jukeboxes, and that's where the sub-series we're going to work on is, it requires either a few pins to be put in, a few random bolts, and it's different for every kind of series of mechanisms. And the jukeboxes may look very different on the outside, but the mechanisms on the inside are very similar from a brand throughout a certain series, maybe 3 to 5 models. Second thing, before you take this out, what I'm going to do is, well, actually, back up. So next thing is, before you put it in the car, see if you can close the door. Pull any loose parts off the inside, anything that might rattle around and cause damage. You want to tie down the tone arm to make sure that doesn't flip all over the place and destroy the cartridge, the needle, or anything else that it might hit, scratch anything. And you want to also remove the records. Sometimes some jukeboxes you can transport with records in just fine. I always remove them if it's easy enough without breaking anything. Some, if it's jam solid, you're not going to get every single record out. Get out what you can. And on this 1015, there's actually metal carrier plates that the records go on top of. If you want to remove all those have to be in a box right here. I'll show you what those look like. So this is the original, one of the original steel carrier plates that the record sits on, and then this sits in the mechanism. So I removed those, put them in a box with the records down here for right now, and then I inspected the jukebox for any loose veneer, even ones that aren't wood, may have Formica, or even a decal that's loose, or a door that doesn't lock. So I use this shrink wrap. If you're going to be buying arcade games, pinball, jukeboxes, you should really have a roll, an 18-inch roll of it. It's not that expensive. It's maybe max 20 bucks for something that's quality. I use a shrink wrap, and you wrap it carefully to keep all the veneer in place. Anything loose, anything that's going to be sliding. If it's really loose on the back, you might want to think about bringing some 1x1s with you, just to wrap underneath, between one layer of the plastic and the outside, so when you slide it in, you got something on there. And then you can lay it down on, most jukeboxes can be laid down on their back. If not, if the mechanism will not come out easily and it doesn't have a way to lock it down, you're going to have to move it standing up. Like the Arion is one that thinks about that jukebox. You actually have to remove the mech, but it only takes 15 minutes. Make sure you have time and enough lights to do that. Now with this jukebox, I was able to, I don't have to remove the mech or tie it down. I did remove some extra parts, put them in there, and I slid it in. On your drive home, two things you want to get before you really dig in, and this is a good time to order it. Cabinet key. Never, ever, ever drill out a cabinet lock on a jukebox. Again, never drill a cabinet lock on a jukebox. These aren't the same cabinet locks that you can find in arcade and pinball. They are sometimes very specific to the box. They have specific cams, and they are not replaceable. Or you have to find a used one at an expense. You may, rather than paying $5–10 bucks for a lock, you may pay $30–40 for some locks, especially if it's not one that's common. So always order a key. All the cabinet locks are very standard. You call up Victory Glass and say, hey, I'm ordering some parts for this. I want a key. They're fairly inexpensive to what it costs to get everything going. And this same key will do on the 1015, will do the front and front door, which the lock is on the side, and the back door as well. So get a key and a service manual. Service manual is going to help you go through it, lubrication points, troubleshooting. This is original writing, so this is going to be good. So a lot of people, you're going to ask questions online, ask questions of how do I do this, how do I do that. Having a generic, the base service manual, check this first. You're going to get better quality answers from people. So those are the two main things you want. And I did get the key. I didn't. This jukebox didn't come with a key, but I did get a key right away, so I could lock it properly and shrink wrap it to make sure nothing flew open. So before I take it out of the car, there's going to be two things you want to do. First off, want to vacuum all this crud. I already pulled a lot of the. There's a lot of these spider nests. I want to vacuum all that off the bottom. But another thing you want to do is inspect, repair, replace the casters. So these casters can be gotten new for this model. Victory Glass does carry them, and they're a nice quality caster. And they just pull out. Take that out. Just pulls out, pushes in, and one thing is this cup fell out on this one when we took it out. So I'm going to make a note. I'm going to have to repair this once I get it inside. I don't really want to repair it out here. I'm going to put some epoxy on there to hold it in real good, and put some tape on the caster, make sure I don't glue the caster in. That's going to be taken care of. Now you see these chunks of wood broken out here? That is from bad casters. They start wobbling around, and this is such a tight tolerance. If they wobble, they'll start breaking out this wood. And the next thing they'll do is they'll break this casting, which then you got to find a replacement. So on this box, I'm pretty lucky that it just broke the wood. I do have some loose pieces of wood, so I'm going to take note. That I'm going to repair, and I'm going to re-glue and clamp it down in the basement. So what I'm going to do is now that I got all 4 casters on here, I'm going to slide it out carefully and set it upright. And then now that I'm on my driveway, I'm not going to roll it on the casters. I want to protect those brand new casters I put in. I'm going to hand truck it inside and then into the basement. So that's really buying a jukebox, getting it home, and kind of give you some guides, and hopefully not as scary buying one of these old beautiful antique jukeboxes. So stay tuned until next time.